The D B Cooper hijacking, occurring on November 24th, 1971, remains one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries in aviation history. The enigmatic hijacker, known as D B Cooper, boarded the Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727, in Portland, Oregon. Cooper, using the alias Dan Cooper, handed a note to a flight attendant claiming to be a bomber and demanding $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. After receiving the ransom and parachutes during a stopover in Seattle, Cooper released the passengers and instructed the remaining crew to fly towards Mexico City at a low altitude. Somewhere over the rugged wilderness, the northwestern southwest Washington state, Cooper opened a rear stairway door and parachuted into the night, disappearing without a trace. Despite an extensive manhunt and ongoing investigations, Cooper's true identity and fate remain unknown. The case has inspired numerous theories and speculations, with limited evidence and occasional discoveries fueling public fascination. In 1980, a buoy found a decaying package containing a portion of the ransom money along the Columbia River, but the location of Cooper's landing and ultimate fate remains elusive. B Cooper's hijacking continues to captivate the public's imagination, sparking numerous books, documentaries, and investigations. The FBI officially closed its investigation in 2016, citing the lack of new leads. The enduring mystery surrounding D.B. Cooper's has turned into a folk hero of sorts, with his disappearance becoming a symbol of the ultimate unsolved crime in American history. The identity of D.B. Cooper remains unknown, and the FBI has investigated numerous suspects over the years. While none have been definitively proven to be Cooper, here are some of the individuals that have been considered more seriously than others. The list is some of the most notable suspects, but obviously there are others that have been considered. Richard McCoy. McCoy was a former Green Beret, an experienced parachutist who hijacked a plane in 1972, successfully extorting ransom money before parachuting out. He was later apprehended but escaped from prison in 1974. Some have suggested McCoy as a suspect due to the similarities with the Cooper case, but he was killed in a shootout with law enforcement shortly after his escape. Duane Weber. Weber confessed to his wife on his deathbed in 1995 that he was D.B. Cooper. While this sparked some interest, there is limited evidence to support his claim, and the FBI has not considered him a strong suspect. Lynn Doyle Cooper. A relative of D.B. Cooper, Lynn Doyle Cooper, was named as suspect by his niece, Marla Cooper, who claimed her uncle admitted to being the hijacker on his deathbed in 1999. However, the FBI did not find enough evidence to consider him a strong suspect. Kenneth Christensen, investigative journalists and independent researchers have suggested him as a possible suspect. He was a Northwest Airlines employee with parachute experience. However, the evidence connecting him to the crime scene is purely circumstantial. Robert W. Rackstraw. Rackstraw was suggested as purely speculation due to his military background and alleged involvement in criminal activities. Some investigators have considered him a potential suspect, but the evidence is inconclusive at best. Walter R. Recca. In 2018, the publisher of a book claimed that Recca, a former paratrooper, was D.B. Cooper. The evidence provided was largely based on an alleged confession by Rebecca to a friend, but it is considered to be unreliable by many. It is important to note that the FBI officially closed the investigation in 2016, stating that they have exhausted all leads. Consequently, the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American criminal history. Numerous investigators have been involved in the case of B Cooper hijacking over the years. It is important to note that various law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, have been engaged in the investigation. Here are some of the key investigators and agencies associated with the case. The FBI, the primary federal agency responsible for the investigation of the Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 and the D.B. Cooper disappearance, is of course the FBI. The FBI conducted extensive investigation that spanned several years. Local law enforcement. Various local enforcement agencies in Washington and Oregon were involved in the initial response to the hijacking and collaborated with the FBI authorities during the investigation. Ralph Himmelberg, a retired FBI agent who played a significant role in the early stages of the investigation. He was the lead on the case and authored a book about the investigation titled Norjack, the investigation of D.B. Cooper. Larry Carr. He was a former FBI agent who took over the D.B. Cooper case in 2006. He became the face of the investigation and actively engaged with the public, using the FBI's website to provide updates and seek tips about the case. Tina McLeod, the flight attendant who had directed contact with D.B. Cooper during the hijacking. Her observations and interactions with Cooper were crucial to the investigation, and she played her part in the investigation. Billy J. Jensen, an investigative journalist who was covering the D.B. Cooper case extensively and worked to keep the public informed about developments. Jensen has been involved in various projects aimed at uncovering the identity of D.B. Cooper. It's important to acknowledge that D.B. Cooper investigation involved numerous individuals at various levels of law enforcement, and the case remains open in the sense that the FBI has not officially closed it, even though the investigation has not been followed through. However, active pursuits of new leads has been limited in recent years, and the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains one of the most greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. D.B. Cooper case is a notorious for scarcity of concrete evidence. While the hijacking occurred in 1971, many of the items that could potentially serve as evidence have been lost or degraded over time. However, here are some of the key pieces of evidence and artifacts associated with the case. The hijacker's note. D.B. Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant announcing that he had demanded a bomb and $200,000 and 4 parachutes as well. The note is one of the few items directly linking the individual to the hijacking case. The ransom money. The $200,000 of ransom paid to D.B. Cooper was comprised of $10,000 of unmarked $20 bills. In 1980, a portion of the ransom money was uncovered, buried along the Columbia River. However, the bills were significantly degraded, suggesting exposure to the element over several months or years. The parachutes. Cooper requested 4 parachutes as part of the ransom. He used only one during his escape, leaving the other 3 behind on the plane. The parachutes were, of course, examined for fingerprints, as well as other evidence. Sketches and descriptions. Witnesses on the plane provided descriptions of Cooper, leading to a composite sketch. However, eyewitness accounts can be unreliable at best, and the sketches, of course, varied. Cigarette butts. Cooper smoked several cigarettes during the hijacking. The FBI collected these cigarette butts to potentially extract DNA or other forensic evidence, but unfortunately, nothing was followed through. Black clip-on tie. Cooper left behind a black clip-on tie on the plane. However, this tie was examined for fingerprints and other traces evidence, but nothing was found conclusively. The AFT staircase. Cooper opened the aft staircase of the Boeing 727 before parachuting out. The condition of the staircase and whether it was manipulated in any way could provide clues. They tried their best to find all the evidence using this particular staircase, but unfortunately nothing conclusive could be found. Physical descriptions. Witnesses provided physical descriptions of Cooper, including estimates of his height, weight, and age. These descriptions are part of the investigative record. It's important to note that the degradation of the buried money and the lack of significant forensic evidence have made it challenging to draw conclusions from the available items. The case remains unsolved, and there is limited evidence that has contributed to the enduring mystery surrounding the B Cooper's identity and fate.